Hi everyone, the following video is a recording of our 6 Artist Feedback AMA session featuring landscape photography. The session was held in the MetaJungle Discord on August 4th and hosted by talented photographers and active MetaJungle members Mike Schmidt and Sarah Lindsay. We want to thank Mike and Sarah for their time in reviewing 6 different NFT landscape photography collections and editions, as well as providing very helpful information for the curation and creation of these collections and editions. We also want to thank everyone who was able to attend and everyone that submitted their work for review. We hope you find this useful, and with that, let's go on ahead and get into it.
This week, we are talking about landscapes, and we've brought Sarah Lindsay in as the co-host, as she's a phenomenal landscape photographer. But not only that, she's obviously, through the talks that we had today, like really good at understanding how to build your brand, not just on Twitter, but on Instagram and all social media platforms. And she like I mean, it looks like you like to hike a lot, Sarah, and so you find these like beautiful places where you shoot landscapes, and you shoot landscapes without yourself in the landscape, but then you also sort of set up like timer tripods where you go into the landscape and add yourself as a subject, usually in a yellow dress, and those are really really beautiful. And the regular landscapes you do without you in them are really beautiful too, but it's just there's something about adding like the human element into a landscape that makes it really beautiful. So just wanted to give a little introduction about what Sarah does. And do you want to talk about that process? Like, how did you go from landscapes to saying to yourself, I have to put myself in this landscape?
Yes, I can definitely explain how that happened. So, my background and my profession is landscape photography. So, I do teach it. I teach it on lots of tours all over around the world, which is really cool and exciting. But how the self portrait part started was it was in 2019. And, as you're working photography as your career, you're doing a lot of stuff for clients. So, you're shooting for them, shooting things that they need. And when I'm doing landscape photography, I'm teaching other people what they need to know. So with the self portraits, I've always been a person who constantly goes out and shoots. Like, I'm a sunrise and sunset warrior. That's how I evolved. That's how I grew. I just go out all the time and create. And I wanted to experiment with putting a subject in one of my like long exposure landscape images because I haven't really done that before, and I just didn't have the time, or I really was actually just feeling quite lazy to find a model to come and do it for me. So I was like, okay, I'll just use myself and I'll see what it looks like. And I actually did it with a white dress, and I loved the result, and I just loved that it was purely for me, this creation. It didn't involve any client, it didn't involve anything else. It was just what I wanted to make out of my mind. And then ever since that day, I have nonstop been shooting these self portraits. But it was multicolored dresses until the yellow one came, and then it evolved into being, yellow is now the face of everything, I guess we could say, and very near and dear to my heart. So that's how the self portrait part started.
Very cool. And so the yellow dress is sort of part of a branding in a sense too of
It
your brand.
is.
That's
It's actually
interesting,
all
right?
about the brand. It's pretty much the brand, but
Yeah.
it's not just like girl in the landscape in a yellow dress. It means
No.
so much more, and there's much more like in-depth thinking behind the color and how it matches my personality, and it matches like how I want people to see my brand, how they can approach me, how they can approach my company when they hire me. So very positive, very happy, very optimistic, and yellow just really fits that.
Nice. And so if you guys see that I'm sharing my screen now, can you guys see that I'm on Sarah's foundation? As you
Oh,
were talking, I
perfect.
was just
There we
on.
go. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, as you were talking, I had pulled it up on foundation, but I don't know if anyone was like looking at my screen or anything yet. But I was looking at this one here because it was like the mm, last sold 0.135. This is that's a really cool price for this. This is so sick. All these are so beautiful. Like, geez. So, how much traveling do you do like per year to like go and shoot this stuff? Like, you're in Canada, right?
live I live like yes, so I live in this, but I travel all over the world. So this is where I live. This photo right here. That's my
Whoa.
backyard. That's like not I think that's about an hour away. So I live in beautiful mountain landscape, but I definitely travel everywhere to go photograph these images. I teach. So now when I teach like my landscape photography, I actually teach the portrait part as well. So on my tours we started blending that in with so just giving people another option as a subject in the landscape to photograph.
Awesome. And so this is collected by a NorCal guy who's a really big collector, and he's I really respect NorCal guy. He collects a lot of landscape stuff, but through the bear market, he didn't really stop, and Alpha didn't really stop either, and it was really cool to see. And so to see that most of your work sells out here. How did you get to the position from being on Instagram, building your brand, to coming over to the Twitter space and being able to get to this point to sell out your works? And how long did that take? And just for I guess some insight to some landscape photographers here that are maybe struggling or having a problem, and maybe they make really really beautiful work but they just don't know how to get the eyes on it. So do you have any advice for that?
It's important to remember with a lot of the collectors that are here now, like NorCal. So when he started collecting, he he's a part of like a tribe as well, like, and it's a tribe of artists who are like, he connected with the landscape photographers first. So I think that's where that comes from, that he is so tied to the landscapes, because that's how his journey began, was through landscape photographers. And I met him in New York, and like with our group of, because he's very close with the Canadian landscape photographers that are based in the Rockies, like Kath Simard and Joelle and all of them.
Yeah.
So when I met with him in New York and we all went out as a group to like lunch, it just makes sense that that's where he kind of has parked himself right now in the landscape world, because again, he's really close with everybody that does it. But I see that he's starting to collect more like street photography, which we all know is very, very popular, and that's starting to evolve. But how I like built myself in the NFT space when I joined, which I think is actually really cool and special. Well, it's special to me, and I think it's special to the space, is that the connection between the yellow dress and Web3. Like it really, I was doing yellow dress stuff before, but it wasn't as like, a lot of people recognized it, like, oh, you sure use the yellow dress a lot. As soon as I brought it over here, and I do feel like this was something that was meant to happen, honestly, I really feel that it's just skyrocketed and really, really quickly how it became noticed. But that's also been, learning alongside a lot of the people that I admire here have really helped me build. And I just listen a lot and apply what they share to my own business building. In terms of sales, I started slow and built my way up. It wasn't like just jumping right into one sales. I actually started at 0.20, and that sand dune shot, that was actually on my birthday. So this was months and months and months ago. I jumped on one of the trends of lowering my reserve price, and I was actually one of my friends that was able to get that piece. So I don't mind it for that they were able to get that, because it was like this one rare opportunity that someone could get a yellow dress piece for a price like that. Like, that will obviously never happen again. There's no way am I going backwards, not even close. I have big plans with this yellow dress. So onwards and upwards with the pricing for now. And I've priced it at a price which I'm very, very comfortable at pricing it at. And I'm fully confident that it will sell. It's not an edition price though. So it's not going to go like every day. There's not going to be a sale. It's going to take a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah, so let's talk about this for a second. So I see you have some stuff listed for 0.85, 0.60, 0.80, and then you have a 2 ETH sale, right? And so I think a lot of artists, right, they get a larger sale, right? Because they have a collector that wants to collect it. And then I think that they think that their prices after that should be 2 ETH or above, but it really should probably start. I mean, it should really be like more incremental than that, right? Like so maybe 0.55 to 0.85, and then maybe 1 ETH, 1.5 ETH, and then to 2 ETH. So what happens when an artist gets a sale just out of the blue that's a lot higher than some of the previous sales? Is that the artist's new starting point, or is it that because at some point it's non-sustainable to like just keep going up in like that high, right? So like is it so like an artist like Billy D, I see, for instance, he goes up in like small increments and he's made his way up to like 10 ETH now, but he's done it by selling a piece for 6 ETH, and then maybe the next one was 6.25 or 6.5, or maybe even it was still 6 until. And so then when collectors go and they look at the history of his history, they see, oh wow, he's sold it in increments all the way up to this level, and it's sort of a less risky play to collect from him. And I was talking to Alpha about this yesterday. He has a lot of knowledge about that, about pricing in increments like that, and sort of being sustainable. So and that was just yesterday we were talking, and so I was thinking more along the lines of like, wow, I have to take that into account in my process. And so, what do you think about that?
I feel the same way. So with my pricing, it was very gradual. It started at 0.20 and it's worked at like my highest sale is 2 ETH, but it didn't go from 0.20 to 2 ETH. It went 0.20, then 0.55 with
Mm-hmm.
one collection, and then I sold another one at 0.75, and then I sold another one at 0.90. So it slowly built its way up, and the 2 ETH sale, like that one was actually pretty important. And I don't want to, it wasn't, I mean, I knew who was going to pick up the piece. It was very obvious because he was there while we created it. But that sale, that price, we talked about it, and it actually is like an anchor point to help the yellow dress.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of that, those relationships where we're working together to help each other. And I know I actually am going to be starting to host spaces with Matt, and I just know that when he collected that piece for 2, it's to help the yellow dress, the value, help it build it up. So the next piece that I minted after that is 1.5. It's the one that's beside it. But I'm fully confident with where I am at with that price, and there's many factors for that. How much I help in this space, how much
Mm-hmm.
my skill, my background, my 12 years of photography building into this definitely helps. How much I do help here, help community. There's a lot that goes into how I price my work. And I have big goals for the yellow dress. So I'm pricing it to reach those goals, to help it, and also to help my collectors who have invested into it, who do believe in the yellow dress. I'm showing them as well. There's value in this dress.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Cool. Thanks for answering some of those questions, because I think a lot of people have these type of questions at the AMAs. A lot of their questions are about pricing and stuff. And we recently had that Twitter space the other day that was like 5.5 hours long, sort of talking about pricing and stuff. And so I think you're like on a really, really good path with how you've been doing it. Like, if you look at someone like Justin Aversano, Twin Flames, like his stuff started at zero point 0.2 or 0.25. And I think people think his work sells for 100 ETH or something now, that like he could list new pieces at 100 ETH, and that's the way that it works. But even when he comes out with his new collections, they're low again, like that as well. So it's like, yeah, I think a lot of people come into the space and they're very confused about pricing because of how things price and sell here. But yeah, I think a healthy gradual uptick really is a smart way to go about it. But cool, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Cool. I think with that we can sort of jump into the artist of today. So there's only 6, but I've written down in my notes here the questions that they have and stuff. So this first collection is Meaning of Life, and this is by Manoj Kasafan. And so I'll go by the question first. The question is honest opinion about the images, collection, and presentation. You know, we always go over that anyway. So let's just take a look at the artist statement here. What was that? Someone jumped in.
I think it was Goon. Goon, is that
Oh.
you? Hi.
Oh, it's all good. No problem, dude. Okay, cool. So go for the artist statement here. So meaning of life. Um, my interpretations of the biggest existential question. As an empirical enthusiast, I have always been fascinated by the meaning of life. For me, meaning of life is more than just uh, the propagation of DNA, RNA. In this series of images, I'm exploring a connection between life on Earth and elements of nature, creating a medium for coexistence and evolution. And then they have their licensing information. So interesting artist statement. That makes me want to see the work and want to know what it's about. So first off, it's a collection of 10. There's no owners yet, and the floor price is 0.30, and that seems pretty fair for a starting point. So let's take a look through some of the images. I know I opened up the first one, Volcanic Views, and I was like, "Whoa, this is a really beautiful one. I love the colors, and there's like a clear subject here. You like this one, Lindsay? I feel like you could put
Yes.
yourself in the yellow dress
And
in here.
my name my name's Sarah. It's not Lindsay. Lindsay's my
Oh,
last or
did I say
Lindsay's
Lindsay?
yes, Lindsay's my middle name. Yes, I do. I love it. Immediately recognize the belt of Venus in the sky. It's beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy how the purple goes into the pink and then back like down into like this bluish or purple, and the white just really stands out in this. I feel like the browns of the foreground are just like a beautiful kind of neutral color within this. So they have an artist statement with this shot, not an artist statement, but a description with this volcanic views. And some of these are difficult to say, but the image was shot during my employment at GNS Science as a geothermal chemist in New Zealand. I arrived at the scene a bit early for a planned astro session, but was amazed by the pink skies. So I guess the astrophotographers sometimes arrive at like golden hour or when the sun's going down, and that's a good opportunity. It seems like to get some just landscape shots before the astro stuff. So this is uh, Tongariro volcanic complex of many volcanic cones and craters in the central North Island of New Zealand. The largest mountain on the right is Mount Ruapehu, and the tall cone in the middle is Mount uh, Nguruho, aka Mount Doom of the Lord of the Rings movie. The shattered peak on the left is Mount Tongariro, which is the most active volcano in the complex. No photograph can do justice to this alien landscape. The scale of this place is just unimaginable. So I really like that. I really like that description, and that was a lot of tongue twisting, sort of tough mountains for me to pronounce. But really cool image.
Thing with
Let's
foundation and having like the collection on foundation is you can mint it through Manifold now and then list it, and you're able to then have more wording in your description, and then you can have all the properties and stuff. So that's definitely something for maybe the next collection to think about, going through Manifold and then listing through foundation.
Absolutely. I love Manifold and what it's done for my ability to like add properties, and it's cool because like it pulls the properties right off of my the EXIF data from my image, and so it'll put in my camera, the exact date and time, the ISO, the shutter speed, and all this cool information. So yeah, Manifold's great, and we're going to be doing a Manifold workshop here soon, and I'm going to be doing it with Michael. I think it's Michael McCartney. I want to. Don't take my. Don't quote me on his last name exactly, but he's a really cool guy, really knowledgeable, and he knows about Manifold. And so we're gonna have a call here soon about kind of like what I know about Manifold and what I don't know about it, and what he knows about it and what he doesn't know about it. And we're gonna do a workshop with MetaJungle to help people with building their own custom contracts. So Cool.
Nice. That's good. That's a good idea because I think with foundation, it's the no brainer. It's like it should be going that route.
Yeah, I mean, if we're in a decentralized space and we want it to be most decentralized and feel like the ownership is most by us, I guess, then I think your own contract through Manifold is the best route. I mean, you put your royalties, it carries your royalties to other platforms. If a platform kicks you off of their platform for, being outside of, I guess some artists have been kicked off from being from Iran or Russia and many other places. So in those instances, at least if you have your Manifold contract, you can kind of just smoothly move and transition into Foundation or Rarible or Maker's Place or whatever platform you want to move over to. So this next image, paint the sky blue. And so I'm not as big of a fan of this image as I am the first one. I think maybe it's because it feels a little saturated for my taste. I definitely love what's going on in the sky here. It looks really unreal. Like it looks like almost it's been painted. So I don't know
Long
if this
exposure.
is what's that? Yeah, I was gonna say if it's been painted or if it's just a crazy cloud day or if it's just a slow exposure that had made it look like that. But it's really really beautiful. I think for me it's just a contrast between the heavy greens here and the blues that are just I don't know like how do you go about when you look at landscapes, Sarah, and judge them? Because my own way to judge them is like sometimes things feel a little saturated for me and a little less true to life, and I know sometimes that's what people are going for, but for this specific image from me, it's like it's not the one that I would purchase from the set just because of that.
Yeah, green and blue together is definitely a tricky combination because they're just both so strong. So they don't, like blue and yellow are complementary. They really work well together. And then green I've always found to be a color in landscape I struggle with. I actually usually desaturate the greens because you don't want greens to be screaming too loud because they also have like a little bit of a yellow tint to them as well, which I always am like distracted by and it draws me in. So maybe a little bit less like some desaturation on this image would go far, but I like the idea of the composition, and I can tell that the sky is a long exposure. However, I'm not so sure if it was created with a filter or if it was created like the other way, which is you just take a bunch of images all at once and you essentially stack them and it creates a long exposure. It looks more like that. I know when you do long exposures in that way, it gives more of like a painterly sort of effect, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm getting from this. But I'm kind of confused by the clouds on the right hand side of the image versus the ones on the left. They're not moving at nearly the same speed, so I'm wondering like if it is a
Yeah,
real
these ones.
sky. Yeah, because the other ones are moving. Like clouds, they don't all move at the same speed depending on what like level of clouds they are, but that part confuses me, but I also don't think people who like
Yeah.
I specialize in long exposure photography. That's my bread and butter. So I immediately notice it, but I think maybe other people that don't know this wouldn't notice it.
Yeah. So for me, like this yellow and blue is fine for me. And like I personally, I mean, I'm not a landscape photographer, but for my own eye, like I personally like in Lightroom would play around with like just the green slider and just playing with like the hue and the saturation of it until it just like I don't know, feels like it doesn't overwhelm and just like works better with the yellows and blues on this. That's just but someone might really love the way that this is processed. So, it's always just an opinion, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. We can only help like just offer little tips from a artistic view, I guess, but there really is no right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly. This one I really, really love. Cosmic Radio. It reminds me of something like right out of a sci-fi film. It's really, really trippy. Like I feel like at any moment there's like going to be a UFO that comes and kind of takes one of these cows or something. But the sky with the stars, the center of the frame that has this kind of like brightness to it, like adds mystery, and then like the feels like this gentleman here, like with the black hoodie, just is in a great position for the story for me. How about you?
I don't mind this one. I think with the whole collection, and I am a person who does both, like puts a person in the landscape or doesn't. I would never create a collection of like a mixture. I would either go all subject in the frames or just all landscape.
Hmm.
So to be a part of the collection, it doesn't really fit for me, but it's not wouldn't like sway my decision from purchasing though.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it creates a different mood when there's a subject that's a human subject in the image here, and I feel like this has this like sci-fi storytelling mood where, like, the first image, for instance, like of the volcanoes, this felt like a pure like landscape shot for me. And so while this feels more of like landscape, this feels like a little bit more of like a different genre, like surrealism or something like that. So yeah, there's
Yeah.
that. Next one is like Lucid Dream.
This one looks
And
like what is it called? Infrared.
yeah, I think it might actually be infrared. It's a really interesting shot too. I mean, while there's no like real subject, I mean, I don't mind it as much. For me, like the blues up here are a little bit dark, but like these, I'm just being really picky today because like I play around a lot with like the hue tool when it comes to specific colors, and like I don't know. I don't know if I would have went that dark on the blue for this, but I do like this image a lot. I think it's an interesting one. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it. If it
I
needs a subject.
well, I think the photographer has definitely chosen to edit with like more of a surreal. Like that's not what it looks like naturally, obviously. So I feel they
Hmm.
chose. I feel like with all of their images, they chose to go a little more on the surreal side with their editing. For me, I am more. I like natural. I like to just really try to use like the environment around me and stay true to the colors and do the color theory before I even take the image, because I do think color theory is very very important with photography. But again, this photographer has chosen to kind of create a certain look for their images, and that's where I think we're seeing those kind of wacky colors, like the really vibrant blue that it normally doesn't look like that.
Yeah, but it's an interesting image. So let's maybe we don't look at. We probably do have time to look at every image just because there's only 6 people. So this one, mountains here. um very like very dramatic image, right? Like it's another image that just feels kind of surreal to me. The cloud coverage is is really kind of like has this like kind of haunting feel to it. The subject to me is clearly like these mountain peaks with the snow here. But another image where I feel like um, the editing is a little strange to me, where I don't I like the image and I like the story of it. I like all the cow here in the field, or whatever animal that is kind of far away. I think it's cow. Um, but I don't know. Is it maybe it's the raised highlight or luminance in the front greens here? Like I don't mind the greens in the back here. They don't feel washed out. And then the sky has this like kind of yeah, like unrealistic, like purplish brownish tint to it. So temperature's a bit weird, but like you said, like we said, like they're kind of going for that in some of these shots, and while some of them have that surrealness, some of them don't. So they feel a little bit out of place for me.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this image is actually shot more, I want to say more in the middle of the day, because that's where we're seeing all that strong light. It could be moonlight, but if it was moonlight, you would see like those cows would not be so still
Yeah.
in the shot. And then they've definitely went ahead again. I still feel that they're trying to go with that infrared sort of look all over the images, which is making like it basically reversed the sky, and it's now all dark and very very gloomy looking, but it looks like it was a shot where the sun was quite powerful.
Yeah, I wonder if this much foreground is needed before entering into like the cows and the mountain range and stuff like that. Because I kind of get like even with this large on my computer screen, it's kind of like a big chunk of the image that's like like the meat and potatoes of the image is far away. Maybe and I know foreground leads into that a lot of times, but I wonder if that's like this much foreground is needed. But I don't know. It feels weighted correctly. So I'm not, technically with landscapes, you probably can speak a lot better than I can about those types of things.
Well, a lot of landscape photographers fall into the thinking that landscape means wide, 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 as wide as possible. Fit everything into the frame because we need to see all of the landscape. But it's actually not true. You really want to focus on like the subject of the image, what you're trying to convey. So in your case, or what you were saying, I do agree with that. If they wanted to show sort of like the night sky in this image with some cows and some mountains, a telephoto would have went very far in this with this image, and they could have compressed the animals against the mountain and had a little bit of sky. So with a wide angle lens, less is always more, even though we have that ability to shoot really wide. I actually don't shoot wide at all. I have a wide angle lens, but I'm always more on the 35 end because I am trying to focus on my subject. Less
Hmm.
is more with landscape photography.
Agreed. And so, and then there's a random video in here too.
Yeah,
So
I see that. I
yeah,
actually like
so
I like the video the best probably
yeah,
out of everything actually. And it's
really
also
good.
like a completely different like it's very natural I like this video. It's cool.
It is.
Yeah, the colors it's true to the scene. So it's a really good little clip. It definitely doesn't fit in this collection if you were trying to go with a whole other feel.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very natural, like at the beach. I love how how follows it with the camera. I like how it's shot, and then I love how the bird kind of just flies off into the sun on that. But like to have that in the same collection as that sci-fi-ish cosmic what is it called? Yeah, this one here, cosmic radio. Yeah, it's strange. It doesn't fit anywhere like in the same category at all. So what I'm noticing is just like um collection of life, like just be meaning of life is very vague, right? And so when you have a very vague title for a collection, I think that artists think that like they could put like a multitude of things in there that fall under the meaning of life, right? Like because all these could fall under some idea of the meaning of life because it's a very vague topic. um but that doesn't mean that the collection is necessarily cohesive, right?
Yeah, I agree. And if you put like what and why I think it's also really a great idea to talk to other artists or other people to help you kind of curate your collections so that they do fit together because sometimes we need that little bit of that extra eye to make sense of it before we even mint it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's what, like, at least that's what this, AMA photo critique sort of thing helps with too. I mean, there are a couple of people in it today that have shown us some images before they mint it, which is a really good idea. But I personally have like 3 or 4 eyes on my collection and my phases before they even drop, like saying like, hey, like, what's is there an image that stands out in here that's weak? Or is there an image in here that stands out in like my Lost in Transit collection that doesn't fit my overall story? Even if it's a great shot standalone, maybe it doesn't fit the whole story. And so I'll run that by like a few people that like I really respect. Mostly my collectors actually that have had given me really good advice on
Yeah,
some things.
yeah, I agree with that. I think it's actually good to ask both because other artists, but ask an artist that is, I would say, has a higher skill than you do, or someone that you really look up to, because they will likely see things that collectors wouldn't. And I do think that is important, is that you are getting another artist's eyes on it. But if you put and So with like a collection, if you do put images in it that are weak, and this is where other people will be able to point that out to you before you mint, it will kind of poison the whole collection. So naturally, everyone will be drawn to the strongest image. They'll just go, their eye will just go there. And then if they connect with it, they connect with it. And then the weak ones will often be overlooked. And I think that that can really pull down an entire collection.
Yeah, and I think sometimes a collector won't even collect the piece, even if they love the piece, if it's within a collection that has pieces that they don't love. And I think that's a big thing to think about.
I
Is that,
agree.
yeah, to be like less is more always. Like, so maybe like this is a really beautiful shot too. And so maybe it's like, meaning of life, right? Um, maybe instead of a collection of 10, there's, like, so strong ones for me, like right off is Volcanic Views. Cosmic Radio is strong for me, but it doesn't necessarily fit here. Um, this Taste of Freedom with the Berg video is really strong. Prehistoric Earth is really strong, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the ones that I'm pointing out that are really strong belong together. So maybe they just need to be in like different categories on foundation. And I know this is easier
Yeah.
said than done. I know this is easier said than done because foundation charges to, take these things away. But I don't know. Last night, Gwei was 5, and I had to send 0.2 ETH to somebody, and it cost me 23 cents, 23 pennies. So it's not a bad time to look into, like, this is interesting because these ETH reserves are really high, like these one
Yeah.
ETH compared to the other ones. And I actually think that this is like one of the weakest shots in the collection. I know
Same.
that like I know that we have like a shooting star or whatever this is, but that's overpowered by like out of focus branches here that just that really don't make sense to me in the frame. And even without these branches, with this like meteor coming down, I think they just wouldn't be enough in the image for me to really be that intrigued by it. And so I heard you say same. So like, yeah, I think maybe the artist values it because of like what's happening here, but that just means that the focus needed to be more about what was happening here. And I know we can't predict shooting stars, but I don't think this was the right foreground for this image for sure.
Completely agree. And I do think that this one is actually the weakest one out of the collection. And anytime you're like, just from the landscape perspective, anytime you're breaking across the horizon, like with the trees in the foreground, it just makes no sense. I'm definitely a rule breaker and do believe in breaking the rules, but I do believe there are some for art that are put in place. And if you are going to break them, you better have the skill kind of already in place to be able to do that. And I do understand there's a shooting star in this image, but there has to be a whole package with the image, in my opinion, in order to be able to sell that much higher. The price difference of this collection, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, this obstruction, like in the image, this foreground, would have to make some real artistic value and real artistic sense, like with what's happening in the rest of the image, to be like, whoa, like all of it would have to come together, and it just kind of didn't come that way. And so with that, we have the last image here. But before that, the battery on my computer has 29%. I'm gonna run real quick just to grab my charger, so I'll be right back. But I'll open up this image. Um, yeah, in case you want to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I can talk about this one. This is actually probably the strongest, I think, out of the whole collection. It's cool. This would be one where it's like you captured the natural phenomenon of the Milky Way and did it in a great way, which would make more sense to be one ETH versus the other one that also had stars, but compositionally it just didn't really make sense. There's really no comparison between the two images in terms of strength. So I think that that needs to be a factor as well when deciding prices. And again, this is where you'll get, if you talk to other artists, if you talk to other collectors before minting, you will get that feedback and that extra eye on like, okay, well, maybe this isn't your strongest image. Because if we are selling at 1 ETH, I think it is the artist's job to be able to look at these things before they go ahead and mint. Is this a high quality enough image to be selling at that price point? Oh, I take it we don't have Mike back, so we're just gonna hang tight until he gets back so we can get off of the screen. But hi guys, in the meantime. Hope you're all doing well if you're listening. Hi Jaden.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. We're just chilling. We're just waiting.
It's been a really good session so far, though. Lots of really good information dropped.
Well, that's good. I feel like okay, so with these AMAs, I feel like it's really easy to be like, okay, when you put together a collection, have the description, the license, all those are really important. But I do find that we end up critiquing the work more than actually like putting the collection together. So I hope that's good. I hope that talking about the actual artwork is helpful to people.
I just came back and heard the end of that.
Hi.
But I'm plugging in my charger now. Oh, I'm just in the other room from the living room because my girlfriend's watching TV, so like I can't AMA with the TV in the background. I have to be quiet in a quiet space.
Same. I also like when I was looking at like my pricing, especially when I was new into the space, I already know where I kind of sit with my fellow artists, like in terms of my skill. So that helped me look at pricing. And I think if you can look at photographers, let's say if you want to sell for 1 ETH, like start looking at the photographers that are in the same genre and who are selling for that price point and study their images. I remember there was a chunk of like 3 years where I was growing my landscape photography skill. I had 3 photographers I was obsessed with. I just shadowed them and my skill blossomed and I still was able to develop my own style, but I studied what they did because I wanted to be like them. I wanted my skill to be as high as theirs was. So I think in the NFT space, if you want to sell for 1 ETH, look at what is successfully selling in that price range and get your photography up to that level.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. At the end of the day, like with this collection though, I think there are some really strong pieces. And I just think it almost feels like I would say like 3 collections almost between the, this sci-fi sort of feel, astral photography, and then this video. Yeah, it's sort of a mix up. So, what's that?
I said it's a little bit of a mix up. You're right.
Yeah, and so while ETH is more stable now, or like while gas is way cheaper, at least at nighttime where I'm from, Eastern Standard Time at like midnight or 1 in the morning, Gwei has been like 5. You can get by with burning some of these and minting them in a different collection, or maybe not minting them in a different collection, just waiting and taking the stronger ones that go together in this collection, and just sitting on those at first, and waiting for those to sort of sell out, before minting the other ones. That might be the best.
Definitely.
Yeah, right.
I don't know about you, but we've been on one for 45 minutes, so I'm ready to go to the next one.
No, I'm opening up the next one.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it wasn't just one. We were talking about your.
Oh yeah, we had a little intro, but that was I'm ready.
Yeah. No, let's move along. And so, this next collection is Himalayas, and
So this hasn't been minted yet. Is that right? Correct?
this hasn't been minted yet. No.
Oh, okay. I've never seen them like this. Like I've only ever seen minted collections. So this is good. This is good to see it this way.
Yeah. So there was 2 artists that sent to the AMA today, like just links to their Google Drive. And so I'd like to read over the question, since all right. So Do the images in the 9/16 ratio fall into the landscape category? I have mixed reviews and confused. Then I would also love feedback on the images. I've already minted the first two on foundation. Okay, so I guess one and two are minted on foundation. Should I
Oh,
mint should I mint more in the same collection or work more in my field? What is the best price to set on foundation? So there's a lot of questions here. That first
that is
question, do images in the 9/16 ratio fall into landscape? Yeah, I don't think the aspect ratio makes something not a landscape, right?
agreed. It doesn't matter the crop, doesn't matter the aspect ratio. If it's a landscape, it's a landscape. There, that can be. You can have square landscapes. You can have 4x5, 9x16, panos, whatever fits the
Mm-hmm.
scene that you were trying to photograph.
Exactly. And so I looked at these before, and the strongest ones for me was 1, 5, and 7. But um, I guess I'll start like that then, because those I'll start by opening those images because these images had a clear like subject to me, and they're well composed. Like this shot is really interesting. You have this guy that's flying in. What is this called? This it's not parasailing, is it? It's hang gliding. Do you remember the name of this?
Gliding or hang gliding.
It's hang gliding.
Is it? It's either yeah, it's paragliding. She says it's paragliding.
Oh, paragliding. Cool. So yeah, this one has a clear subject to me. I think this is a beautiful image. Number 5, which it's not the same genre though. Um, I thought that this worked pretty well. Like this is the Milky Way, if I'm correct, and I think this is a nice image. And then I'm just going over these quickly first, so then we could in depth talk a bit more. But and then number 7 for me, I think this one is the strongest shot in the collection for me. I feel like I have a clear subject, and it's like this mountain range in the background, and there's detail all throughout, like the time of day, the lighting, and even the clouds are really beautiful in this shot. Um, and so when I looked at some of the other shots, it was harder for me to kind of find like a clear subject. Like this shot, I guess there's a person like way out here, and I don't know if that's a fisherman or not, but I was a little distracted by like this yellow sign and some of this stuff over here, and I just think that the subject is so far away, like maybe you can break this one down a little bit better, Sarah. But is this work for you? This shot?
Um, Look, I definitely get the idea of it. I do like the reflection. You're right, the subject is a little bit far away, but you can still tell that it's a subject. However, it could be a pole, it could be, you don't actually know that it's a human. So yes, it is a little bit far away, but the strength in this image is definitely the reflection. I just feel like this is a scene that if you were in a different position, my guess, especially since I live in the mountains, that mountain slope goes up to a peak, which probably would have been maybe more a better focal point of this image. However, again, the reflection is okay.
Yeah, the reflection down here is like really what has my attention and wants to keep my eye. Like you
Yeah,
said, they were.
and the color palette too is good, like the warmth against the blue.
Yeah, I guess if they were just moved over to the right a bit and then shot in that direction, they'd get that peak. Let's see. Um,
Yeah, what's
there
the
was
last image? Is that, I can't tell, but is that a helicopter? Oh, it's a
no.
statue. Okay, I thought it was a helicopter. I couldn't really see it. It's a statue.
Yeah, it's a statue. It's just that for this image, for me, there's too much of like the concrete bottom of the statue, and then there's this light in the front that's kind of distracting for me. I think this is another image that could have worked really well, like if the photographer was like higher up off the ground and not like from below and up, and just maybe from a different angle.
I hear what you're saying. Or even if it was possible, like if you want to have that light in there because the light in the foreground does create depth. I'm actually the most There's definitely things that I think could have been tweaked in this image to clean it up, but I actually think this is one of the strongest in terms of that depth. And what I wanted to further say on that was that I feel that also this photographer, their strength lies more in the astro than the other areas. So my suggestion would be moving forward, maybe to create like a little collection just based with the astro shots. And then if you just want to stick to the mountain peaks, then have it be like that. You can make your whole collection look really cohesive by time of the day. So you can have a golden hour collection, you could have an astro collection, and then you have more work to spread around and further along down the road create more collections rather than just lumping all of your landscapes, all of your mountain landscapes into one.
Agree, totally agree. This shot for me, it has a lot of depth with like the lighting and stuff. And it's kind of beautiful, but I feel like there's something missing in a sense. Like I feel like this is a shot that works well when there's like a human element or an airplane or a truck driving by or something like that. I don't know if you feel that way about this, but like for me it feels like there's an element that I'm searching for.
Well, this is what we call, so in the landscape photography world, we call this the tourist shot. So it's the typical, it's not like directly middle of the day, could be approaching golden hour, but it's like the shot when you get out of your vehicle and you don't literally move. You're just you're one level and you hold the camera up in front of your eye and you take the picture. It's something
Hmm.
that, say, like my mom would do. She would be driving along, being like, "Oh, that's pretty. Take the picture." I don't feel like there was any thought put into like foreground or the composition. And these things are really, really important because it helps you improve your photography, but you have one chance when people open your images, and you don't get very long. You only get maybe not even a second to suck them into it. You have to keep their eyes on it. And you do that by having strong foregrounds, having strong composition. There is a way that like art in photography flows through the scene. And you only learn that by studying those techniques and then going out and applying them.
Exactly. Um, and then for this image, is it similar in the same regard as this kind of like that touristy shot
Yeah,
as well?
yes, but I appreciate the like really singling out the peak with the clouds and the light around it. This would be a shot that would be really well done with like a 70 to 200. I also feel it could just be my screen like viewing the images
It's dark,
through
right,
this.
at the
It's
bottom.
dark, but I don't even know if this image is in focus. So like the quality of these images as well, I can tell on each and every single one of them. It just doesn't have that high quality look to it.
Hmm. I can't tell whether or not the peak and stuff like
I
the
can
the
I can
metal.
see now. So the peak is in focus and the dark, like the darker foreground, is not in focus. I do like this one. I think this one has more thought put into it with like
Mhm.
just focusing on the subject.
Yeah, and then there's a shot like this, and the colors feel like a bit more like true to life to me a little bit in this. Um,
Just
they
yeah.
leans a little bit to the magenta side, I guess. I don't know that the subject though is just like is strong enough to take away that much attention from this grandiose, mountain range, right? I don't know. For
Yeah,
for
I
me,
can
I'm
see
just
with this image, like again, it to me it's another tourist shot, like just maybe walking by on the trail and then take the image. And I'm sure that the sky was, I call it the uni cloud, and that's just like a sky that might rain. It's just just a gray canvas. So it was either that or the sky is blowing out in this image. But immediately, like, I love the little green hut and I think it's cool and I think it really stands out in, sort of this mountainous environment. But there's definitely ways to make the mountain shine and make the hut shine. And I also feel with this one, a telephoto would have came in handy, changing your position of where you're standing. If you were able to, if you got way down to the ground, you had a telephoto on, you could have compressed this green hut directly behind that massive impressive peak, and it would just change the whole look of the photo by just changing where you're photographing from. If you get down a little bit lower, you'd really, really surprise yourself at what you can create with your composition. But I do appreciated this image that there is focus on just one thing, like the hut and then the mountains.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Cool. So yeah, I mean, with this, like, yeah, I mean, so they minted these first two on Foundation. They're asking, let's see, if they should mint more. I mean, you know, if those ones didn't sell, then I wouldn't necessarily mint more. I do think that the first shot is stronger than that second shot. Um, so maybe I would keep this on Foundation, but I don't know that I would with this.
Well,
Um,
and also if they're put into a collection in Foundation, like just to be cautious, if you say it's a collection of two images and then you go and just start adding things into it, you're not really sticking true to what that collection is. So be a little bit careful with that. I'm not sure if it's like a collection that you made on Foundation or if it's just one of ones that you're minting like solely by themselves. So if I could see the collection, it would probably give a little bit more clarity.
um, and so the artist is a Sanchin, so maybe we can really quick. Let's just see. Hold on. Um, I need the name here.
I also think
Twitter.
she wanted to talk as well.
Oh, okay. That's great. Um, This is this is Himalayas. So Twitter handle is the solo lover. Let's check that out. And then yeah, can we unmute so that she can talk? Or
She isn't,
he
I
can
believe.
he can talk.
He
He
or
can
she,
talk.
I think it's a she, isn't it? She was it a she or he? I don't know. Oh, maybe it's the never mind. I'm
No,
gonna shut up.
it's he.
Oh, it's he. Okay.
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
And
I
if you
thought
look
we
at
were
my
on the.
screen,
Oh, okay. I see now.
oh
Whoa, that's
wait,
a portrait one.
yeah, wait. Let me see collections. Hold on. All right, so at least it is in a different collection as these other ones.
Okay.
Um, people in
Oh, that
portrait.
shot is awesome. That's
Yeah,
cool.
this shot is stronger, I think, than any of the landscapes.
Yep, 100%. You can see the strength.
Wow, wow, the pink. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's a great moment. That's a fire
I
shot.
I don't know
Pun
how to say
intended.
this. Okay, how do I say this? I mean it in the most kindest way possible. If we're going to experiment with other genres, and I fully encourage experimenting with different genres, it really helps you evolve as a photographer. But if you want to sell it, if you want to be having people pay money, like learn that genre then and grow the skill in it. Don't just kind of dab. I feel if you just dabble in it and then you're like, I'm gonna mint this. This is a beautiful shot, by the way. But if you do that, like you don't really have strengths in landscape and then you just throw it out there to the world without sort of improving that skill first, I just think you're gonna slow yourself down, whether if you at the beginning you took the time to properly learn the genre and what really looks good with those images.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree. This is another beautiful shot.
Yeah, that's a cool shot. Love the
Yeah.
light.
So it seems like just more portrait, documentary, street style is more, another pretty beautiful shot here, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my answer to that question would be like, no, I wouldn't mint more into here, right now, actually. Uh, yeah. I mean, as far as what you said about learning more within that genre and that skill, I mean, it's not a bad idea to like even, like nuke the actual collection because these haven't sold yet, right? These other ones. So you're sort of saturating your market more with stuff without like focusing on getting an amazingly beautiful image like this sold. Like maybe your focus should be more on what you have up right now and how you
Yeah,
can
I
move,
agree.
yeah, move these images, right? But yeah, with that, I mean, I think I think that's some good advice that we gave. Uh, yeah, and I think we answered all the questions. Yeah, we minted over, and they said, what is the best price to set on foundation? And then that's individually based. So I don't think your prices look high on foundation. I think that I think they look pretty. I think they look pretty fair. 0.30. I mean, it's a really really good piece. Yeah, and then after you sell this piece for 0.30, maybe you could sell your next one for 0.35. And you build yourself up, you build your one of one stuff up over time. So with that, let's jump onto the next collection. Or actually, it's just one piece and it's an addition, and it's 33 is the charm. This is by Sanya Sequoia. Question: these editions are selling slowly. How do I convince viewers to connect with my artwork and invest in me? I'm present in the space daily. In your opinion, what was the piece strong enough to be an edition piece? So, all right. With that said, let's open up the piece, and I'll give my opinion first on the piece.
Okay.
I think that's a beautiful piece. I think it does have the detail from foreground all the way through background. I think it's a good to really good piece, but I think for it to be a great piece for me, I feel like if there was a subject in the sand here, or even a sailboat pulling in, or a sailboat out here, I feel like it's got an element to it where I'm hungry for more within this landscape, and that would be my that's I think the colors are really beautiful. I think it's a really good shot, but I don't know. I'd have to look through the other work by this artist to find out whether or not they had other photos in the gallery that are better than this for an edition. I always think that an edition shouldn't be looked at as less than a one of one. That it should be equally as strong as a one of one.
I agree with everything that you just said. Oh, sorry, were you done? I
No,
didn't-
I mean no. No, no.
Sorry,
I'm sorry. I
sorry.
am. I am done. No, I am done. That's why I paused for so long. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I'm done.
okay, okay, okay. So I think, okay, I actually agree with everything that you just said, and agree an edition should never be seen as less than a one of one. It's just you've just broken it up into multiple pieces. They equally should be the same great artwork. I actually think this is a really beautiful landscape shot, and I can tell that you did a good job and put some thought into the composition of this. I fully agree with Mike on that. It could have had a subject there with that little slice of sand, or I guess the beach. Something just would fit there because it is such a big space. So with landscape, but you were asking about how to, convince people to invest in this piece. So I find with landscape photographers and landscape photography in general, we are actually probably going to have a little bit of a harder time selling these artworks, because when there's no person in the frame, it is much harder to sell a story or tell a story. It's beautiful, like the artwork is beautiful, landscape photography is beautiful, and then I'm going to rewind a little bit and go back to why I think it is, especially landscape photographers, how important it is to be pumping out like really really strong work, because that's how you're going to grab that attention of the person to even look at the image. If it's strong, it will pull them right in, and then you're going to have a tougher, even tougher time selling the story without a person in the image. So it's really about, with landscape photography, pumping out the best possible stuff that you can, which is why I'm always like improve on this skill, or adding a person in the landscape scene to help sell a story. But if you can't do that and you do want to sell the landscape photography, then it's going to be about getting out there on the ground floor and connecting with people and telling them your story.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that, because the other photo in this collection of editions has a subject, and they sold it out. And
Exactly.
I think it's a really interesting story in this image, right?
Yeah, so this is something I've been noticing. Like, I've been watching this too, in this space, and another reason why I've decided to take run with the yellow dress because I know I can story tell much better with a subject than just my landscape photography. I think with landscape photography, it's best to just focus on like being a really highly skilled landscape photographer that's fine art that people are just so proud to have. But again, with the subject, you have the advantage of telling a story. So it's very obvious to me why this one sold out and why the other one hasn't. It's just a little bit easier again to tell a story. So my suggestion to get people to want to buy the landscape one is go back and do the groundwork and get out there and tell them the story of that landscape scene.
Yeah, I mean, they also editioned this one at only 10, and the other one was editioned at like 33. In the properties though, I don't see the edition.
I do
Yeah,
love
like
that. I love this image. I think it's
yeah, me too.
good. It's somewhere that I would shoot if that helps.
Yeah.
I would go and create a self-portrait there. You got the house, you got the person, just a great setup to tell a story.
Yeah, so this has 33. But they do have 16 owners though, so like had this been 10 like the last one, this would have sold out too. Um, Even if it was 20, it would be very close to sell out. So it's like yeah, it's like how do you figure out um like how many editions? I think that a lot of that has to do based on your engagement and your audience and like what you have built like within the space to know
Yeah.
um not only that but like I feel like pre-sale is like a really important thing, at least for me. Before I release something out into the market, it like creates momentum and hype. Like if I reach out to, if I have an edition of 50 or something that I would come out with, like, and I've reached out to 25 people that I'm kind of close with, whether it's collectors or artists, and I said, "Hey, I'm coming out with this. I want to do the first round at 0.03 for the people that that are close to me, and then the second round of it will be at like 0.04 or something like that." Then you can grab a bunch of people to buy within that pre-sale, and then you release it to the public already saying like, hey, it's halfway sold out, and that builds momentum. So I think like doing a lot of things pre-sale before you just drop something into the market is also like a really good idea on how to like sell out a lot more quickly.
Agree. I completely agree.
Cool. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. So this is the one where I don't have pages, maybe, and you can open up
Oh, right.
that sort of artist statement there, because it
Oh,
might be
okay. Give me
yeah,
a minute to go
no
and okay,
problem.
where did I have to go again? In the announcement?
Oh yeah, if you look at my screen inside, okay, so we're at feedback AMA, and then a couple of
Yeah.
ones above it, it's AMA announcements, and
Yep.
it's gonna be this one, this Google Drive one here.
The Google Drive, so it's Mad Her.
Matter.
Mad Her. Okay. Okay. And then what am I supposed to pull up?
Um, you pulled up that page. So the first one looks like the artist statement, but I can't open it and read it because I don't have pages and it's not working
It doesn't
in
work
my
for me either. No, it doesn't
in
work
my
for me either.
Word.
Doesn't work. It says couldn't preview file. You may be offline, which I'm not.
Okay.
Or
So
limited. And I'm not willing to download it, so I
yeah,
I don't
if you
trust.
okay, if you look on my screen then on the right side here, yeah, I can't do this download
Uh-oh.
thing either.
Uh-oh. I'm sidetracked. Oh no.
What happened? You're okay?
I don't try no, I'm coming back. I'm coming back to the screen we're on. Okay.
Yeah, can you see
Okay,
my
there we go.
screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm actually gonna try to read it from this right side. It's super small,
It's
but
super small.
I'm gonna pull it off. All right.
Okay, you
Runes and
got this.
Dunes. Runes and Dunes is a photo series which takes you to Al Madan, a ghost town 30 miles outside of Dubai. The town is dotted with abandoned homes that have been engulfed by desert. The contrast of colors between the bleached white houses and scorching brown sand combine to create a unique aesthetic. The lack of explanation behind the abandonment further adds to the mysterious nature of the town. It does, however, serve as a reminder of the unstoppable and relentless force of nature. Um, the reminder, the view. I'm not going to go into reading that part. I think that's an interesting artist statement just right there in itself. Plus, this is really hurting my eyes to read that tiny. But like, let's take a look at the images. Because it's super interesting what they're talking about here, and I really dig this shot. It's super surreal, abstract, um, and is this like? Would you consider this a landscape shot? I guess it is, right? Like kind of.
Oh, I
No,
don't know. I don't know. I'm torn because
it's like
I have
fine art.
seen, yeah, I have seen landscape photographers photograph this scene, the same sand in the abandoned house many, many times.
Hmm.
I
I knew
don't,
I've seen it.
yeah, I don't consider it landscape photography, but I don't not,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. It's still cool. Would be such a neat experience to photograph.
It really would. It's super surreal.
I think if you're going to show this, then only stick with that. Like, make it a thing that it is the sand inside the building. Don't take
Yeah,
it outside.
This one doesn't make sense. This last one. Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't post that in a series. And I mean I feel like you can have a series of so much more than just three though, right? Like how many abandoned buildings are there? Like I feel like if I was in one of these, like I would try to find like multiple different like abstract perspectives that I could even
Yeah.
use as different shots, right? There's got to
Yes.
be so many different ways to play this. Because
Same.
most of
I can
it,
tell every single time. I can tell when it doesn't matter. Like, maybe they're on a ladder or something. I don't know. But I know when the photographer just walks up to the scene and is holding the camera at eye level like everybody would. And I completely agree with you. Like, there would be so much more you could do here. You could play with abstracts. You could really play with the
yeah.
lighting of the windows. You could move around. I can tell like the lack of skill through the composition with these ones.
Like I would get on my stomach in this shot too, like and lay in the area, like in the very foreground, like over here, and like shoot up into like these like abstract patterns, and then maybe out the window that way and see what I could get. I would probably stand up here on the top right of the image and shoot down it or out this way towards the windows. Like there's got to be, I mean, and maybe the artist did shoot other perspectives, but would like to see more of them here. In this shot, for instance, like this, it sort of bothers me if it's going to be like fine art, like this little piece right here. And some of the yeah, like I probably would have shot it in a way that like this was blocked. But I would have in this room. I don't know if it's the same room. It probably is the same room, and maybe that's another door to the other side, or maybe it's a different place.
I think it's the
But
same one, it's just different light. Like, one's more backlit, one's more front lit.
yeah, I just think that there could be so many more possibilities in here that it's like there's like endless possibilities inside these rooms.
Yes, 100%. And oh my gosh, it would be so cool to like even frame the outside with the windows. Like, even looking at this one, I'm like, I would have been right up to those window frames, using them to my advantage. So, okay, this one's not minted yet, correct? Since it's in the Google Drive.
Let me read what the questions were. This one, these edition. Oh no, that's yeah. Please let me know if any improvement is needed in this collection. What should be the price? Is the series cohesive? So I'll just start off with: is the series cohesive? Like yes, except for the last one. And then what should be the price is a hard thing to answer because like that depends on like on your journey and where you're at, right? So like if you have a sold out collection of pieces that are like 0 point 1.5, then maybe you could drop this at 0.2. Like like I don't know. I think slow incremental progression is really good, especially after I had a conversation with Alpha about sustainability in your pricing and your history of pricing looking like it just goes up like slow over time. and that you don't have to go backwards in your pricing because you price something high because somebody bought it really high and you have to go backwards. Yeah, pricing is a hard one to kind of answer. Please let me know if there's any improvement needed. I think we talked about the fact that just like I would shoot more perspectives. I definitely like the colors and the juxtaposition between like the abstractions in the sand and the man-made walls and windows and stuff like that. How about
Yeah.
you, Sarah, on those questions?
Yep. Yep. Same across the board. I do. I mean, for myself, I like to think of my skill when I think of pricing, and I will always do that. So I just think it's helpful as a good base, but definitely if you haven't minted, you're going to have to start at a lower price range and build it up. But I always encourage to build the skill along at the same time. It's not like, we all know that art is subjective, of course. It's just saying like building your skill and improving on your craft. It's just going to make it easier for you to grab the attention of people and keep them there and pull them in when you do have a more built up skill.
Yeah, and the other thing is like when I click on these, like it says the system properties over here, like modified, open, created July 26th. This shot says created. I don't know how accurate this is. This says created July 26th, July 26th. So it's like if this is just like one day of going there and shooting, it's really, really hard to make like a strong, compelling collection about just going one time during one lighting situation or something. Maybe this looks at multiple lighting situations, but like if this was all done on a single day, then imagine what you could come back with if you've gone for a month. If you went for 30 days, not every day, but like if you went for like 30 days in total and came out with a collection like that, how much more strict you could be with the pieces that you pick, how much more powerful the most powerful pictures would be in a collection like that.
Completely agree. And if you have more images from like the series, which I'm really sure that you do, then I highly suggest sending them to fellow artists that you trust and having them be that second eye of like, okay, this is a strong image, add it into here. This is a strong one, add it into there. Because I do feel like you have more images of this same location than just these ones.
Mm-hmm. True that. I agree too. With that, I think we can move on to the next collection.
I'm ready.
And Goon, like, if anyone has questions that they want and they're in the chat and they want to talk, they can totally come and ask questions. So this next one is Empty Thoughts, and this is by Manny. The question is, how could the explanation been more effective? How do you feel about this photo? Could it have been a better photo? So this is actually my first time looking and talking in an AMA and critique about an image that's on Maker's Place. I don't know too much about.
Me either.
What's that?
I don't know anything about Maker's Place either.
I don't either. Well, let's look. Let's check it out. Let's learn right now, I guess. All right. So he has a reserve price set at 0.65. That's a high price if you don't already have a trajectory of selling at prices lower than this leading up to it. 731 people have seen it, so that's a lot, right? That's interesting. There's comments on Maker's Place too, so it has some features that are oh, cool. That's really cool. Hendro
It is
commented,
cool.
Coleman. Wow. Mustafa. I know all these people. So yeah, this is interesting. Platform that they can have that type of information in there. So it looks like you have a lot of eyes on it and stuff. The creator is Mani. Additions 1 of 1. Then view proof of authenticity. I'm just gonna click through all this stuff because I don't know about Maker's Place. Let's see what this actually does. Ethereum, it gives you the ID, the contract ID, create blockchain, view full blockchain details. I'm not going to do that. So created on July 10th, so almost 1 month ago. So it didn't sell yet. And description, I'll read the description. So there was life here before the sandstorm came and destroyed everything. Now these houses are full of sand and wind. But these houses have memories. They have many stories on their doors and walls. one can sit for days and stare at this graveyard of houses and think that maybe we can say we are seeing living memories. Then he has additional details about this. This sort of looks like the properties of like the properties of Maker's Place, I guess. Interesting. So the image. Uh, so minimalism is like what I see here. Very minimal image. Interesting where the light kind of hits this piece right here. That creates like this interesting dimension between the dark of the sand here. Then it looks like the light, the shadows over here, and then the light. This is all lit here. It's and you have like these geometric squares. This door. You have more squares, and then this light cut off here adds dimension, and then back here, we have even more dimension added, and then there's even the moon. So yeah, this I like the title for this too, Empty Thoughts. I think that's a really interesting title to have for an image like this because it is sort of this meditative image that I kind of want to continue to stare at and kind of live within without having the outside thoughts. So I like it. I enjoy the image.
It is
How
a
do you
cool
feel?
shot. I do think it's a cool shot. I would actually like to see it. I know it's cropped like it's a square
Color?
crop. I would like
Oh.
to, no, not color. I'd like to see it the full crop, and then just because I'm curious, because I always like to see how I would crop images, but sometimes
Mhm.
like a square crop can be too tight. But I do actually really I love the light play in this image. This is probably the strongest one of everything we've looked at so far. However, I do not feel that this fits in the landscape photography category. I feel this fits with more like conceptual style photography because it really does have that, like, it's in empty thoughts and they use the buildings and that to sort of convey this message. This is not
Yeah.
to me about landscape.
Minimalist, conceptual, fine art. I feel like those categories kind of.
Yeah, it's cool though. So I do appreciate that about it, that it has a meaning to it, like directly connected to the description and the title. I do really like that. I think that that will only be more power to help you move this piece.
Is the artist here, and so why Maker's Place? Because like I want to know why. And do you use OpenSea and Foundation, etc.? And what am I missing about Maker's Place? Maybe if the artist is here, we have one more after this, and that's it. So
Sometimes I think, like with platforms, people will go like wherever their little tribe is. So I imagine if he had lots of friends that are over there, because remember there was comments, then maybe that swayed
yeah.
him to mint on there.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. What's recent activity? Let's see his profile. Empty thoughts. Looks like he has something else on here. Accepting offers. Beautiful shot. Wow. So yeah, he's very minimalism. I swear I
Yeah,
saw
that
thought I
too.
saw
Yeah.
this somewhere on another platform, something very similar at least. Interesting.
I definitely encourage you to continue on with this. You clearly you do like the minimalism, and I think it's working for you. And
Yeah,
it's
he's good
I
at it.
like, yeah, I feel like you can tell stories with images like this. So definitely keep going with that.
Yeah. Cool with that. Yeah, let's jump over to let's see if I did I answer a question. How could you explain explanation been more effective? I think the explanation was fine. How do you feel about the photo? You answered that. Could have been a better photo. Don't really know. Would have to see, but I enjoy the photo. Cool. The next one is American Dream, and it's just a single image. It's amazing, I think.
Yeah, it's
Um,
cool.
this is by Kirit uh, Prajapati. Kirit Prajapati. I think that's how you say it. The question is, what have I done wrong? What would you have done if you took this
There you go.
picture? My answer is I don't know anything that you've done wrong, and I don't think that I would have done anything different in this picture. Like yeah, this, I don't know. It's a really interesting center composition, like the color relationship between this blue, this warm and cold is really really beautifully wild. There's detail all throughout, like there's fireworks. Yeah, it's
That's cool. The fireworks are super cool behind it.
right.
I'm pretty sure those are fireworks. maybe like, I mean, you can never go back. This image is wonderful. It's a great image. If you could ever have this experience again, do you know what I think would be really cool? If you shot it, I want to imagine that you shot this with a telephoto, but if you went even tighter and just focused on that building, like with a few of the fireworks behind it, that would be really cool as well. It's a really neat image.
Yeah, right. Like look even at this building on the left where because this is like seems like it like maybe it's a bit of a longer I don't know what actually no, it doesn't look like a long exposure, but these lights that come up from this building here are really cool too, these little white lights. And look at the Chrysler building here. Like look at even there's even all this detail on the Chrysler building. Like really really cool. So let's read the story behind it. American Dream was minted May, June, July, almost 3 months ago. So July 4th, 2017 was the day that I took the photo of the celebration of our country's independence. December 25th, 2000 is the day that I moved to New York from India. I came here by myself to pursue the American dream and moved into my uncle's home. I graduated from high school in India, and when I arrived to New York within a day, I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I was 16 years old. Just feeling so blessed for the opportunity I was given. 9 years later, 2009, I would begin my photographic journey and become more immersed in the pursuit of a better life. So, how does my story tie into the photo? This experience is part of the American dream for me. I couldn't imagine that I would have the opportunity to experience the July 4th celebration in such a dramatic fashion. All of the work that I put in and all of the connections I made in photography uh, culminated in me having this opportunity. The opportunity to experience and share this unique perspective of July 4th celebration. Were you saying something, Sarah?
Oh, sorry. I had my hand over my mouth.
Oh, okay, it's cool. Um, yeah, it's a really great firework photo. Like I don't know what they said. What have I done wrong? I don't know. Maybe there's not enough eyes on the shot because 0.30 is a really good price for this. It was minted 3 months ago, but we went through that phase where like one of ones were really hard to sell with that edition market. So like I don't know. I mean, if I had 0.30 right now, like I might buy this. I actually really like it. I think it's really good.
It is really
So
good. The
yeah.
image is awesome. There's no, it's not nothing to do with the image, that's for sure. It's just, yeah, maybe not the right eyes on it. I was just gonna say, because he was in a space with us earlier with Sabode, and Chip was there telling, like, he's basically letting Sabode send him a bunch of images to purchase, and he'll purchase them. Like, go chase after Sabode right now and be like, "Hi, I want to move this image." Go suck up to him, and then maybe it'll work out in your favor.
Yeah, like he was in that space. Like, why not say, "Hey guys, like, can I show a piece that's been sitting on foundation that I think is really good and really well priced, and tell your story about it." Like, your story is strong. You moved from India to New York, and like you took this beautiful photograph. Like, I'm from New York. I don't have an Empire State shot with fireworks like this, so it's a unique image. Like it's beautiful. So I just think maybe you need to talk about it more. Talk about do a post today. Like post the picture of it and tell the story of it, like what it means to you, and put a link to Foundation saying that it's that 0.3 and it's a one of one. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to connect with this. Like it's really good. But I don't really have anything else on that. Like,
Yeah, just keep sharing it, keep talking about it, keep sharing it, keep putting it in people's faces.
yeah, and I'm happy that this artist is not like just pushing out so much content, like on like so much NFTs on his foundation. He's really just has this one up, and so let's see his Twitter real quick.
But seriously, go message Sabode right now. You have an opportunity. Someone is actively buying. That's what I would do.
Look at this. He's had this on here since May 18th. This is his pinned tweet. It's been retweeted 128 times, but no one had the no one went, and everyone loves it. Wonderful shot, beautiful piece. I'm gonna share it right now. Like, actually, I'm gonna quote tweet it and say like,
quote tweeted too.
I'm gonna say this piece is insane, insanely beautiful.
What should we say about it to try and push it out?
Hold
It's
on.
cool.
I'm gonna say
Oh, can you hear me typing?
a unique one of one or 0 point with a great story. A unique powerful story or 0.3 for foundation. This needs a new home. Needs a new home. I think that's cool. All right. Maybe when we consult today, we'll see. See what the power of the community can do. But that's the last yeah, that was the last one. There was only 6 submissions. So yeah, I think we still had a really interesting AMA, even with, like a small amount of work. I think we provided a lot of like great information. Thank you, Sarah, especially.
I tweeted that one out too. I tagged MetaJungle and you in it as well.
Awesome. Yeah,
We'll try. We'll try. I do want to say it doesn't fit in the. I mean, I'd have to say one thing against it. It doesn't fit in the land. It's not a landscape photograph. Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that it was put in here and we could talk about it, and it's got some landscape elements to it. But yeah, this is a cityscape.
It is. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Even in your quoted tweet, it's like, wow, it's such a dramatic and powerful image. So cool. I mean, with that, like, thanks a lot for coming today, Sarah, because you always add a lot of valuable information, not just about like, the breakdown of how to take a landscape, but also like how you built your own brand and how to move forward in the space. And it's always really like a pleasure to have you. So, and all the artists that submitted. What's that?
I said thank you. Maybe we should have more, like, instead of just looking at people's work, we should have more workshops based on getting more to like the root of the. I'm a problem solver, so I like to go way back and get to the root of it and try to help people how to sell rather than critique their images. I think there's a lot of value in that. So maybe we can start doing that here through MetaJungle, through Discord.
Yeah, let's talk then about a future workshop that would work with both of us and how we can help. And I think that's a great idea. And I think Emma would love that pitch.
Yeah.
And we can do that. So cool. With that, yeah. I guess we can end the space and
thank you guys for hosting today. Had a great session. So appreciate you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Everyone. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
With that, guys, we are out and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for being here today. And thank you, Sarah.
See you guys.
Bye. Everyone.